Hello everyone, it's Lennon. I want to talk about the womb. And I usually don't get this personal on the channel about my spiritual practice. But I was walking with a mother recently, and I don't say that lightly. I have kind of like a triple goddess practice that I follow, this divine feminine spirituality. And it, when I came upon it, it was it's still, a lot of it is still very abstract. But for me to grow with the different aspects allows me to grow and find more aspects of the divine feminine. And this right here, these couple of months, from Beltane until Samhain, is and I call these like segments of the year my blank time. So right now I'm in my mother time until the crone gets aged, I'll say, at Samhain. And it's worked for me the last couple of years, and it's been so profound. And I realized that for some reason, I've never put a lot of emphasis on the mother time. The crone time, I just feel more drawn to the crone. In a way, I feel like she's more drawn to me. And I feel a certain fun, I guess you could say, gaiety with the maiden. Like, I'm so in touch with my inner child that I can relate to her. And I can relate to the crone because I'm just drawn to her. Just ever since I was a little girl, I've always been drawn to that type of imagery, right? Like in my own mind's eye. And the mother seems to be this thing in the middle that's like gluing them together that I don't put a lot of time into. So recently I made a decision to go on a walk with her. Basically, it's like on the astral. Kind of like meditating. And what started out as just a walk in the forest. Usually my walks in my mind's eye happen in like a foresty setting. There's like a creek there's a creek, and there's like aged, gnarled trees, thick moss, and mushrooms, and it's just like all kinds of like this just like woodland beautifulness. And it looks different throughout the year, okay, just like it does seasonally, right? And I'm drawn to all aspects truly, but the mother garden, the mother forest garden, I'll call it, is so abundant in its life, in the life force of the forest. The summer is when it's its most loudest. And I realized something on my walk is that, and I'll get more into the walk in a minute. I realized something in my walk is that it's so loud in the forest in the summer. In the spring, like, I guess you could say like late spring and then the whole summer into a little bit of the beginning of the harvest. That's my mother time. And it's kind of like this rounded hill is what I kind of think of when I think of the mother, is like this round, this like culmination kind of thing. And I was standing in this forest, and I was expecting it to be this beautiful silence, which is what I'm always drawn to, right? Dappled sunlight, not a lot of birds, not a lot of crunch of the leaves, and there's not a lot of critters, and I love winter forest, right? Which would be the crone. But I just like was walking on this like plush moss, and there were mushrooms everywhere, and there were like these tiny like violet-y indigo colors everywhere, or flowers everywhere. And the noise, I kept going, how is this meditative? All this noise. You got birds, and you've got like little woodland animals crawling everywhere. You know, they've already had their babies because they have them in the spring usually. And, you know, they've had their babies and they're kind of like running around getting food, right? And then there's all kinds of birds, and it's like there's a thickness, because in my part of the world, it's really humid in this culminating time. And so there's a thickness, like almost like the heat stays in the forest because of its thickness. And so it's like there's a heaviness in there on top of the noise. And I remember walking and I just kept thinking, I'm not relaxing. And I realized that I was hitting hurdles there. I was hitting hurdles there by telling myself that I wasn't relaxing. It was almost like I had put a boundary up. And I was upset by that. I came out of this upset because I was like, why am I hindering myself from enjoying the noise? There's so much silence for me in my real life and in my meditative life. And I'm drawn to winter. There's so much silence that can't I enjoy the noise for a minute? And I realized that could go on mother wounds, mother shadows, and I want to call her the mother. She's not a real, apparition, if you will. She's just kind of a presence in the forest with me, and she walks with me. And I'm saying this shit, like I'm this ungrateful bitch in this forest. And she, and I'm going to get choked up because, your spiritual practice is so, it's just such a beautiful thing, when stuff hits you and when you unfurl shadows and shit like that. But it was so profound because it's like this presence overtook me and she says, let me show you something. And we were walking and it was loud and we came upon this cave entrance. And it was so dark for it to be midday, for it to seemingly in my mind's eye be midday, hot and just like high noon, and it just looked like the mouth of this cave was so dark and it would be so cold in there and it would be so quiet in there. And as I walked into this cave, I was like, this is the womb. This is the womb. And it is quiet. I can still hear the noise outside. But it was me going back into the womb. And how there was a healing in that. That I was somehow demanding to this mother that it was too loud for me. I can't relax. I can't blah, 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 blah. And here I am just like this complaining ass shit. And she takes me over and leads me into this cave. And I immediately get visions of being in the womb, of being in this safe place. And it got me thinking of all of the loud things, all of the seemingly unrelaxing things that the mother archetype has to go through. But how beautiful the womb space is. How damp and humid and warped, because the sounds inside the cave, just like the womb, are kind of distorted, right? So it's like you're hearing noise, but it's not a distracting noise. Like you can't pinpoint what the noises are. And it's like that's the multitasking quality of the mother, is to not let that stuff bother you. And then it got me in touch with my own motherhood and how, some things, sometimes, some days, You don't like the noise. You just want, it's like, shut up, you know? And then other times you relish in it. You get loud and you get laughing and you play board games and stuff like that. And then it kept going. Like, as we were walking in this cave, it kept unfurling. This womb space kept unfurling into, you know, my mother, the wounds I have with her, the me being in her womb, and then her being in my grandmother's womb, and so on, up until we're the mother of all. And I felt heartbroken. Like, I felt sad. I felt like this heaviness on my chest. But then I felt safe, completely 100% safe in this cave, on top of being utterly sad of the heartbreak of the mother. Like, if I think of my deity, for lack of a better word, as mother, right now, for me, this is my mother time. If I think about her, I think about her as a deity, right? And how deity is kind of undefinable, really. Even in my abstract kind of a way, she's often undefinable. And when I try to define her, I try to put human things on her, like if she were to menstruate, what would that look like? Like, if the Mother Earth, my mother goddess, were to menstruate, what would that look like? And it would be heartbreak. The stuff that she bleeds for. She's sitting over there, bleeding out, and no one's taking her seriously, and no one is even asking her if she's okay. The plans that she's made that didn't come to fruition, the people that thought that she didn't have what it took, the children that she wanted to bear but couldn't, the stress of nurturement, like, that's so stressful. I think about all the aspects of the mother. And I don't want to say that mothers, to me, because they've never been someone that, you know, you have to give birth to be a mother. That's something that she's taught me as well. But the womb space that I was in, it made me feel so safe. And even if I was barren, I would still have a womb. My mother still had a womb. The wounds that I have from my mother, like our relationship, her relationship with her grandmother, my relationship to my primordial mother goddess ancestors, there's wounds there that I have to unlock. And it was almost like she was saying, there's so much heartbreak in the mother that you've been not wanting to touch. You've been not wanting to come here, okay? But it took you hearing all this noise and complaining like a little bitch for me to lead you to the cave where it is quiet and where it is safe, for me to show you the heartbreak that you've been neglecting, that you've been one of the people that shuns it, and you've been one of the people that complains about it. What about my cramps? What about my blood that I've shed? What about the plans that didn't come to fruition? Think about that in a grand scale. This giantess of a mother that lords over you, right? I'm just saying, as an example. If she were to have the same trials, the same bloodlust, battle fury that you have in your day-to-day mundane life, how do you think she feels? She's got a whole host of children. It's just like this concept that hit me, that mothers go through. Mothers of all, okay? Not just children and bleeding, but this huge mother of us all. And how the safest place that I felt in this loud-ass summertime forest was in this cave. With the dripping water and the faucets, the dripping water and on the walls, and the bats, and the garbled woodland animals that I could barely hear once I get inside the doors. It made me think of all of that. It made me think of this safe space of the womb, regardless of the heartbreak and the complaining and the whatever I could have gone through to get to the cave. Once I got there, it was unlocked into this heart-wrenching, beautiful, safe space. I remember I immediately got bombarded with an image, like coming out of this. I thought about my mother, and I thought about when I was having a bad night, like I couldn't sleep or whatever, my mother would lay on her back, like she slept on her back with her legs out like this, and I would sleep right where her legs did this, like I was right here. And I thought about that. I thought about me doing that. How that was just my way. Instead of laying on top of her like a hug, I felt safer in between her legs. Like hugging like the waist area. And I thought, is that a womb thing? A womb thing? Because I was there. And I was 100% safe there. I think about birth traumas, birthing traumas. I think about my own traumas with giving birth. And I think about it being this shamanic experience, to be honest. But for those of us who won't experience that in this life, you still have and did have that safe space. And that it is there for you to travel to if you need it. But don't think that by going in the womb that it's somehow just a safe space. It's going to be loud, and it's going to be obnoxious, and there's going to be tears and blood and pus, and you have to be willing to deal with that and not complain about it. Hold your head high when you do that to feel safe. It's about adhering with her and being with her through each other's pain. The pain from times past. The pain of all mothers. And the heart-wrenching pain of mothers is unfathomable. And this meditation that I went on was profound, if nothing but for that. To tell me that I'm complaining about the noise in this forest for nothing. Just listen, and you'll get to the cave and be safe. Right? So my mother time, this until Samhain, I'm going to walk in the forest and not go in the cave, but try to think of the noise in different ways. Try to think of the plushness in different ways, the abundance in different ways. Maybe meditate on the heartbreak and pain, the actual pain of the mother. And get a little bit deeper with that. Anyway. Much love, people. Let me know what your thoughts are.